We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you here tonight. We got football talk. We got baseball talk. We got basketball talk. LSU basketball tips off tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time against the Fighting Calipari's of Kentucky. So we'll preview a little LSU Kentucky basketball here tonight. LSU is a plus 10.5 dog against the Wildcats of Kentucky. Let's see if the Fighting Matt McMahons can pull it off again. Going to be tough. It's always tough to win in Rump Arena, so we'll touch on that to close out the show as we'll be previewing that for the last 10 minutes or so. LSU 2022 season recap. I'll just give my thoughts. I think maybe the 5 biggest takeaways this season, what Brian Kelly was able to accomplish, what they're going to be doing in the future. Brian Kelly not done in recruiting just yet, as we'll touch on a little bit about tonight, as LSU probably is going to try to get another or wants to get another interior defensive lineman. We'll touch on that and where LSU needs to improve on. Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us at 6:30. As yes, we are a little bit early tonight because we got to go take on the Cats at 7 o'clock. So we're going to move the show up a little bit sooner. So looking forward to talking to Carter as well. And LSU baseball, 44 days away until LSU tees off, and the first pitch is on its way, as LSU is the number 1 preseason team in the country. We have not talked a lot of baseball. If you've been listening to this show, I am a massive baseball fan and also obviously a massive LSU baseball fan, as you got some really big key pieces returning and big additions. You got guys like Dylan Cruz returning, Trey Morgan, Gavin Dugas, and others, and you're adding in Tommy Tanks, Paul Skeens, and just a whole laundry list of great young men. Gavin Guidry might be starting at shortstop by the end of the year. Is over with, so we'll look forward to all of that and talk on all of that if we can compact it here within the hour. So a lot to touch on, as it's been a great holiday season, but good to be back on the grind. If you missed it, we kind of launched the show a little bit earlier, but I told you for the last kind of 6 months we'll be having some big news, and that we do. We're launching, or I am launching, along with my co-host Joe DeLeon. We are launching an SEC and college football podcast. We will talk some college basketball and other things as it's relevant, March Madness and others. So we're looking forward to that. So go over to the Ruffino and Joe Show. It'll be streaming live on Facebook and our new YouTube channel. So go over there and subscribe as well. And you know I'm always going to keep a little bit of the LSU flavor in there. So a lot to discuss. Ruffino and Joe Show. Go follow us on Twitter as well. Andrew Paul's Martin says Justin Rogers. Yes, if you missed it, 6'3", 335-pound defensive tackle Justin Rogers from Kentucky has entered the transfer portal. Go subscribe to the AYS message board, AYSSnetwork.com for more. Aaron Hornsby says Tigers baseball, or Tiger football, baseball, basketball, men and women's looking as the future is very bright. That it is. You got to give it to him. Aaron Hornsby says, go Tigers. I love it. Aaron Hornsby again. I don't know. Is Aaron like hopping back and forth from Twitter from YouTube and Facebook? He says, beat the Cats, baby. I love it. A Country Granger on YouTube says, pretty dang weekend for Louisiana sports, if I do say so myself. Hopefully LSU can get a W tonight. Yeah, it was a great weekend. I mean, the only thing that didn't go Louisiana sports way, really, was the simple nature that the Tampa Bay Bucks won and the Saints are eliminated from the playoff. But you could have, we'll see. Future question mark exclamation what? Who said this? How about right now? That's got to be Zach. Right now, hey, show tomorrow. Zach is the guy at the bar that wears jeans and like an LSU Columbia shirt and says, he doesn't curse, so he's like, golly jeepers, Batman. Zach, are you the guy at the bar who screams golly jeepers when something bad goes wrong for LSU?
That's exactly what I say. Like exact words.
How many times a day do you think you say cheese and rice instead of Jesus Christ?
I'd go like over under like 2.
All right, I'm getting you out of here because I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Zach is a Christian swear. He definitely don't cuss. Yeah, he doesn't. Jeepers creepers, Batman. Anyway, good to have Zach and Pooh Bear in the studio with us. Rob Boudreaux says, is Beth Torina on the hot seat? I think she might be a little bit. She needs to win. She needs to win. Son of the Mother Mary. Okay. As I have two producers that, yeah. Anyway, Big J Cole says, good googly moogly. Oh, Zach has definitely said googly moogly. He probably wakes up when we stretch. He's like, oogly moogly. That's probably what Zach does. You got to admit. All right. We do got to get a lot in. We've got a lot to get into here tonight. So everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all of those social media groups. So many of you listening to us live on Facebook. Hit the like and share to all those groups. Share to all your own social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, all of that good stuff. If you're listening to us on XM Radio or anywhere you listen to podcasts or the TuneIn app, rate, review, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate you doing that. All right. I do have some words that I want to say about what happened last night with the Bills and the Bengals, but let's take a quick break, and we'll talk about that after we return. Sorry about our good friends over at betonline.ag and our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons. 1 minute, we return. I don't really know how to transition out of that. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. All right, everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Just a quick update. So listen, if you missed it last night, a tragic incident happened in the Bills and Bengals game as Demar Hamlin was trying to, or made the tackle, but against T. Higgins, got up, looked like he was okay, then fell back down into a cardiac arrest event. So, look, there are a lot of Rudy Poos out there. Skip Bayless is one of them. I'm not going to rip on Skip Bayless. I don't want to give my breath away to Skip Bayless, who is a freaking Rudy Poo, for saying the game should be played. You know, a lot of other people I saw on Twitter trying to make it political about what happened to Demar Hamlin. Guys, this isn't political. Somebody almost losing their lives in a sporting event should not be political. We've had incidents like this in sports before. Well, it's not really happened in America, and it's not necessarily happened in football. In 1998, I forget the gentleman's name, but it happened in hockey where a guy got hit in the chest with a puck. And the same incident happened. He fell down, hit his head, went into cardiac arrest. And then 3 days later, he was back for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The only thing that I pray right now is that Demar Hamlin is okay. Now, Josh Reed, who covers the Bills, just reported about 15 minutes before we went on the show. He says, I just spoke with Demar Hamlin's family. Demar was originally on 100% oxygen and now is down to 50%. The family says that they're hanging in there. He thanked the Bills and especially the Bills and the Bengals organizations and everyone's continued prayers. So listen, all that matters, the game doesn't matter. Fuck the playoffs. Screw, even if this is the Super Bowl, you don't play the game. You understand? Someone's life is in there. Now, I've seen someone a lot of times have to be resuscitated, or in a cardiac arrest type of event. EMTs need a lot of credit. That young man, unfortunately, could have died on the field. He did not. Thank the good Lord. That is all that matters. I love football more than any human being. That I feel like I love it more than just about anybody. Football does not matter when it comes to somebody's life. It just doesn't. So, prayers for Demar Hamlin and his family, and I hope that he is able to have a very speedy recovery and can get back on the field as well. Pooh, I brought this up. I'll address it. Dylan Allen says, can you address the BS rumors too? Well, let me just say this. I'm not going to get – so in reference to the rumors that were circulating around Kayshon Boutte, coaches and others, Brian Kelly addressed this statement. I don't think – so it's of my opinion that nobody in the media nor anybody else has the right just opinion – has the right they have the right. Let me back up. They have the right to report what they know and what they got sourced. For once, the LSU media, outside of maybe one, did the right thing by letting Brian Kelly address the rumors. Guys, let's call it what it is. You read something off of a Snapchat thing, and then you ran with all of it as it's gospel. I blame Barstool. I blame ESPN. I blame a lot of these national medias out here, Brandon Walker and others, with running with something that is so sensitive and mocking in public. Everybody was talking about it behind closed doors, but going out there with with it being non-sourced and nobody at LSU or remotely confirming what happened is bullshit. Okay? Now, this is my opinion. Strictly opinion. Something happened with Kayshon Boutte. On this show last week, and I confirmed and why I asked Wilson Alexander this. Kayshon Boutte knew after the SEC championship game he had been suspended. Within a couple of days. Something happened there. The rumors, though, however, does diminish somebody's life. I don't know what happened, nor at this exact moment until I have to. The thing about this is people say, well, it's your journalistic integrity to ask questions. No, you can stop asking questions. Kayshon Boutte got in trouble for a team violation that got confirmed through LSU, and then the situation happened. That's all that matters. So you can run off of something off of Snapface or Click Clock or TikTok or whatever it is, that's up to you. But until you see that hit the dotted, like someone that's worth a shit, that's actually reporting it, people not denying the allegations doesn't make it true or false. You can base your opinions off of something, but opinions are opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Is that a pause worthy, Pooh? Okay. But it's just the truth. You read something from a kid that generated off an A&M message board. If Cortez Hankton or whoever was in, look, let's call it what it is. Whoever was in that stupid little Snapchat piece, Brian Kelly would not allow anyone that was involved in that on the sideline. You know that, and I know that. He's going to play by the rules. Come on. So it is what it is. I just will tell you this. You can talk about it in private. What your private conversations are your private conversations. When you start going out there people's lives do get ruined by this, okay? Say what you want to say in private. But when you go public with it, understand what you're doing. Like I had a guy today say something to the effect, said something about my son on social media, and then he deleted his whole Twitter account. If you say something about my children on Twitter, two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to get reported. Or number two, I'm going to ask you to meet me in a parking lot somewhere, and we're going to throw hands. Guy went too far on Twitter saying something about my children or my child. Under a video of Ben that I posted when he's chanting LSU, LSU. And he says something about a choo-choo train. You can put two and two together. I will knock somebody's block off for my children. You understand me? This isn't a game to me. All right. We do have Pooh Bear said people don't lick opinions though. God damn it, Pooh. God damn it. How do I even transition after you saying about booty hole licking? Jeez and Pete's. I got you got one guy in here who can't say the F word and another guy who's talking about booty hole licking. Pause. All right. Big J. Cole. Yeah, you saw that. He said the man disappeared fast on Twitter. He did. You don't talk about my children, brother. This is something you don't talk nicely about them. One's 3 and one's 2 months old. Calm down. All right. So to wrap up this 2022 LSU football season, guys, I said this yesterday in the postgame show. I will say it again today. I'm not going to reiterate what I said yesterday, but I think that there's 5 big keys to this season to look back on. I think the biggest thing as we get started here, the biggest thing and the number one thing for me is replenishing the roster that Brian Kelly did. Guys, your entire secondary outside of one guy really was nothing but transfers. Mekhi Garner, Jared Bernard-Converse, who had an interception yesterday, who had no business, let's call it what it is, in today's society playing in a bowl game. Got the defensive MVP per Brian Kelly on their team. Jay Ward came back and had a good game. Joe Fouché, Greg Brooks, guys that didn't necessarily have to play were there, and they had a really, really good game. They had a really good season. You know, what's crazy about the transfer portal, when I think about it, guys, Jared Bernard-Converse, in my opinion, had one of, if not the biggest play of the season when Alabama was down in the red zone on their first possession and Jared Bernard-Converse intercepted Bryce Young in the end zone. That set the tone for the entire game, and as we will talk about in just a minute, LSU takes down Alabama. You had a lot of kids that are from Louisiana that always wanted to play at LSU. Some of them that hit the portal, majority of all of them that are SEC worthy, came back to LSU, played significant snaps, and was able to be very strong contributors to this team. You will do that again next season in 2023 inside the transfer portal. Truth be told, your inside slot receiver, in my opinion, will be Aaron Anderson. He's obviously going to be a transfer. You were in the mix for me. He was a one-time commit to you. Both of your starting outside corners will more than likely be transfer guys. The portal has helped LSU in a way where you're getting back to what you normally do. Guys, you just had 10 wins for the first time since 19. You just got back to 10 wins for the first time since 2019, where it was somewhat kind of a regular thing where LSU in the past would get to 9, 10, 11 wins in a season. You're getting back to that, which leads me to number 2. Guys, Brian Kelly in 1 year showed that LSU is something to deal with, right? LSU is going to be a monster that people won't like me saying this, but when Les Miles was here, when Saban was here, when you knew that you were playing LSU, brother, I better strap up my chin strap and I better be locked in because those dudes are going to knock my block off if I'm not. You can hate Les Miles all you want. Was his offense atrocious? Absolutely. But the one thing you always knew is when that LSU uniform got off the bus and those players got off the bus, that you're going to play a juggernaut. You're getting back to that. The calls that guys, LSU was second in the SEC in drops this season. They're one behind Florida. Offensively, at times you had struggles. You won games. Defensively, at times you struggled. You won games. Florida comes to my mind when I think about struggles you had. A&M, you lost that one. But the coaching job, see, I've told our guest Carter Bryant this so many times in our conversations and our producers. I don't worry about Brian Kelly anymore. I never really have worried about him. Meaning, whatever he does, I'll be honest. Okay, cool. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to let him run the show. Because there's nothing. This isn't an Orgeron level situation where you gotta manage every time Orgeron hits the microphone. Or Orgeron does anything. Brian Kelly, he's going to be first class. He's going to do exactly what needs to be done. And there are some times when you have a subtraction from your team or your program, a.k.a. Notre Dame, sometimes you don't know what you're missing until it's gone. LSU's been in this situation where you've had Les Miles who made fun of it or said some crazy stuff about Italians. Columbus was an Italian. No shit, Sherlock. Orgeron, who talked about beating up people and taking them to the lake and shit like that. Brian Kelly's not going to get himself in that situation. Now, he might make a joke that doesn't land home. He might make a dad joke. He might dance with a 5-star recruit. Who gives a flying Rudy Poo? But as number 2 goes on, you see what he's building. Number 3. I think is the biggest one, in my opinion. Guys, you took down Alabama. I can't tell you how massive of an accomplishment it is. You haven't beaten Alabama at home since 2010. They were the Goliath that you couldn't get over. They were the girlfriend that you thought about when you laid your head on the pillow every night. Brian Kelly says, I'm coming here to beat Nick Saban. Took him 1 year to LSU. What do you think is going to happen now when his entire offense returns? Oh, Blake, what about Kayshon Boutte? Kayshon Boutte was remotely, he might have been your third wide receiver this year. I can make that argument. You don't need it. I don't mean that in the wrong way, and Carter's going to yell at me at the end of the show, I'm sure. You don't need him. You took down Goliath. Well, Blake, Alabama had a down year. Guys, their down year is 11-2. Okay? Their down year is 11-2. When you line up in the first weekend in November next year, they're going to be ready for you because now they know, that fan base knows, that coaching staff knows, and Saban 1,000% knows there's not a buffoon at the helm. The pause, Pooh, so don't put in the chat. Major pause in what I'm about to say. Brian Kelly had the biggest nuts that we've seen from a head coach at LSU in a long time when going for 2. He trusted a freshman on a corner route in Mason Taylor who had the dropsies earlier in the season. You know, I remember a lot of people in this chat talking to me about benching Mason Taylor. What did Brian Kelly do? Guys, patience. He's a freshman. Patience. Patience. He kept preaching it and preaching it and preaching it. The biggest play of your season, the two biggest plays of your season, really, is the corner route in the back of the end zone and Jane Daniels making a big league throw to get you in a situation to win, and then the 2-point conversion in the back in the front left or front right pylon. He didn't blink. Loud and wrong. We were loud and wrong. A lot of people were wrong. That's number 5. It's the biggest game of your season that you did, that you won, that you were able to overcome. You won the West behind it. You won the West in your first year. You're a problem now for people. Number 4, if this is what I think is going to happen, and I think it's a high probability it could happen, I don't know if it will happen, but it's a probability. Guys, we might have 100% staff retention from on-field staff. What happens when you have that, and I had to go and look, do you know what happens when you historically keep 85 to 90% of your offense and your offensive coaching staff returning? I mean, 19 rings a bell. There's only one coach that left. One. You want to know who that is? It's Jerry Sullivan, or whoever you want to place Joe Brady for replacing. There's something to be said. There's something to be said when a group of coaches who historically pick up and move programs, when they want to stay around the coach and they want to win at a particular program. What's crazy is Orgeron consistently battled with, now always battled with, and lost the engagement in Marcus Freeman becoming the next DC at either program. Brian Kelly won over Marcus Freeman more than Ed Orgeron could. The truth about that story is this. Brian Kelly met with Marcus Freeman and didn't let him leave without talking to him multiple times, being around him, going over on the whiteboard, things like that. Orgeron let Panamsky handle it. That's the truth. You want to know why you lost Marcus Freeman? It's because Derek Panamsky was dealing with shit and not Ed Orgeron, because he wanted Ryan Nielsen. It's the truth. You would go and get Durante Jones. I think Durante Jones did fair when Orgeron let him call his defense. We'll see. Number 5, Pooh Bear's right. We were loud and wrong. I was loud and wrong. I didn't think this team would get to 10 wins. I thought that their max ceiling was 9. I thought that the 9th win would come in the bowl game. I'm being honest. I did not foresee what they did. I will come on this show when I'm wrong and admit when I'm wrong. I did not see this. Now, did we always come on here, and this is something that in a staple in the offseason we talked about ad nauseum. Did I come on this show countless times talking about that LSU had the talent to win the West? Yes. Yes. And here's the truth. I don't care what anybody tells me. They have the talent and the personnel returning and coming in to win it again. You got better at positions by some subtractions. I'm going to let you put those puzzle pieces together. But did you know that Brian Kelly knew and knows what he's been doing the whole time? You know, we freak out when a superstar doesn't get touches. Malik Neighbors was number 2 in the SEC in receiving yards and number 1 in the SEC in receptions. How about that? Did you know that? Guys, did y'all know that? Malik Neighbors led the SEC in receptions at 75. Number 2 behind Jalen Hyatt in receiving yards. They know what they're doing, man. You have talent littered everywhere. It's only going to get bigger. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk a lot more of LSU football. break down the season, break down the bowl game with our guest. He's usually with us on Mondays, but obviously we had the game, the post-game show. Let's go get to Carter the Power Bryant. Let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25 at checkout. But let me talk about my good friends over at Synergy Resources. Synergy, RESLLC.net. That's Synergy, RESLLC.net. Hoses, pipes, fittings, they do it all. Get in touch with our good friend Tully over at Synergy Resources. That's Synergy Resources, or Synergy, RESLLC.net. Let them know that Blake sent you on by. Let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco. Carter Bryant, 45 seconds, comes up next. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast, as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. What's this jacket you're wearing here?
Oh, South Arch Shooting Stars, baby. Hashtag be a star. That's what I'm talking about.
Are you going on with Simon Cowell or something? Are you going to be who wants to be a star? Like what are we doing here? I mean, you look like your talent's going to be spirit fingers. Am I accurate with that? Am I close or no?
Every time before I go to bed at night, I do like a stretch routine to
This man said shout out to Joseph Evans.
just that is a deep cut joke.
That's a good one. The dude literally quit football to go be an American Idol.
And how did he do? I did not follow up.
He didn't make it through the first cut.
Oh God, Joseph. Yeah. I still wish he would have played offensive line just to see.
Carter, him and Fitzgerald West are built to be centers.
Right. You're right. Yeah. I mean, I hated that. I don't know why the last coaching staff didn't at least try it, especially considering there was a hole.
You don't remember he played the entire spring? He played the entire spring at center. And then they brought him Liam Neeson or whatever his name was from Harvard, the Harvard grad.
I don't remember. No, I unfortunately remember. But nothing against Harvard, nothing against at least Liam played hard, and he played through a lot of, injuries and all of that. But, man, but obviously, let's not focus on that. Let's talk about the most dominant win. Now, Blake, here's a major takeaway from yesterday. I understand Purdue was a skeleton squad, right? I think everybody knows that. They could see that, right? Yes. It was a lot of backups. Rewatching the game, there were a lot of our guys going at half speed because of how bad they were. It's natural, right? But what was very interesting to me is that we finally dominated a Power 5 team. The one thing that LSU was missing during this season was a dominant win versus a Power 5 team. Now, they had some great games versus Florida. They had some obviously the Alabama fourth quarter was some of the best LSU football offensively, we've seen, since 2019. It was really good. But it is good for the guys in that locker room to feel what a 4-quarter bludgeoning of a Power 5 team feels like, especially considering that bludgeoning happened away from Tiger Stadium. So that gives them the confidence moving
forward. In a place you will go start your season next year.
Exactly. So I understand it was a dress rehearsal. Obviously, the level of competition made us look like world beaters but there is something to be said about the confidence of imposing your will on somebody that makes yourself feel better as a team. Here's a good example of this, right? Go to Power Hour SEC. We talk about this all the time. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these other teams that had very successful seasons in the SEC. You had Alabama, you had Tennessee, you had Georgia, right? Those are the three other teams that really had good seasons outside of us, obviously. The one thing that those teams had was they had some of these games where they had 4-quarter domination of a Power 5 team. The fact that we finally had that and we understood what it was like you were saying beforehand, imposing our will, just chalk outlining the other team. That feels great. That feels great as a player. That feels great as a coaching staff. And that more importantly feels great for your quarterback that, you're able to go out there and just coast by somebody. So hopefully that carries over and we field a dominant team next year.
I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to agree with, but
that's fine.
Deep down, it's true. The offense looked better because Kayshawn wasn't there. You know it, and I know it. Without the having to force the ball down his throat to keep him from pouting on the sidelines. And look, there's things that I know about him from Texas A&M that would make you want to cut him. The bottom line is not being able to make the right play helped LSU a lot offensively too. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Strong agreement. Strong agreement.
I've been mentally preparing myself for you to disagree with me all day. This is a change of pace here. Okay.
Football is not meant to be played by people that have one foot out the door, right? In order to have everybody to play at a high level, mostly everyone has got to be at least 90% locked in. Kayshawn obviously was 50-50. Looking forward towards the future. Brian Kelly referenced it, that, he was going back and forth on his future throughout the year. And I do agree with this, right? Especially if you look at the percentages earlier in the season where, the target percentage of Kayshawn Boutte was amongst the lowest in the SEC in terms of actual completion rate.
Right.
He did have a lot of drops. Some of them
led the SEC in drops. Let's call it what it is. He led the SEC in drops.
Yeah, and some of them were 100% his fault drops. Some of them were the ball could have been placed a little bit better, but it's still technically a drop. But if your alpha receiver should not be dropping as many passes as he did early in the season, and that's not me piling on him. Also, before the Florida game actually happened, I am on the record saying that I would like to see the offense with less Kayshawn because of the chemistry issues. He had the big game versus Florida, and then he had a really, really good football game versus Alabama, and he was locked in those games. He really was. You could just see, his biggest catch in the Alabama game was a route that he had to break off over the middle to get a big first down in the red zone. And that was a sign of someone being very mentally locked in. But, as we got towards the end of the season, you had this amazing Georgia game. He was fantastic versus Georgia, obviously. But, this was a guy, as Blake, that, before the season said, hey, this is my, I'm a 3-and-out guy. I'm ready to go to the next level. And then to decide that you are going to come back, was very shocking. It was the most shocking comeback decision we probably have ever seen at LSU, judging by, his comments leading into the season. Now, obviously, you and I disagree on him going in the first round. I still think he's going to go in the first round. I do.
No, I agree with that. I agree with you. I think for me is will there be a team that plucks him with the attitude issues? Yes.
Right.
Do I think he falls because of it? Probably where he should be going. Also, yes. I could see him going top 15. I think he falls out of that because he's too much of a drama case around him at times that I will be honest. I know, and I've told you this, and the proof that I have behind this. Okay. I know of front office GMs in the league right now that will not take him in the first round because he's too much of a head case.
Yeah. No, and look,
And look, that's not bashing Kayshawn. That's just the information that I know. Is he worth a top 15 pick? Probably.
yeah, especially if you're someone like, if he went to somewhere like Kansas City where they have a structure in place and they need they need another receiver.
That
right?
culture will make sure he doesn't go off the rails. Right.
Right. Or if he goes somewhere like Green Bay or something like that, where they, the culture is the culture, right? What's very interesting though, and this is where, look, I am not a character judger. That's not what I do on the
I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
And I'm not trying to put you in that
No,
situation.
no, no. But what I will say is I do take into consideration, what I hear and stuff. We hear the same things, obviously. But from day one, right? We're talking about the opening Brian Kelly press conference. We had something with Kayshawn
He wasn't in rehab.
all the way to now. So it started with a weird Kayshawn drama.
And Carter, before he was even here, remember the rumors about him going to Bama because of NIL?
Right. Yes. So,
I mean, it's always been drama. Always.
So the thing is, look, it's not, we're not saying like this or that or whatever. It's just, it started with something and it ended with something. And that is, something that you should take into effect if you are a big Kayshawn fan. Now I have a huge Kayshawn autograph collection and I want him to do awesome things. And I still think he like, not everybody gets a good draft grade for me coming out. That played at LSU.
No, you too hard on draft prospects? No,
never, not me. I try and look at it like if I'm going to draft you, if I am a GM, I want to make sure that I'm getting a stud in the first round, right? And you look at some of the key metrics like early breakout age, domination, at that early age. I mean, that true freshman season towards the end of the year, he was so freaking good at football. And then to start off the way that he did with Jake Peets and Max Johnson and a very disjointed offense, man, that dude can really freaking play. And he's doing this at 18, 19, 20 years old. It was crazy. It was truly, truly, truly crazy. So I do think he's going to be a superstar at the NFL level. And I don't think he's going to be like Chase or Jets, but I think he's going to be a very, very good football player. So, yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. But I do think, I think Jerry mentioned this in the comment section a minute ago. I do think it's better for both parties that, they both move on to the next.
I disagree with you on the last part. I don't think he's going to be a superstar until that attitude changes. That's just me. Okay. All right. We've gone 15 minutes. I have not brought up the quarterbacks.
Do it.
An interesting stat that I put out today. I don't know, Carter, if you saw this, but the combined stats from both quarterbacks at LSU that have played significant snaps, meaning obviously Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, they've combined over the last two games 814 yards, passing yards, 407 yards per game, 67 net rushing yards, 6 TDs, 3 interceptions, 54 for 83% completion percentage. That's 65%. Carter, here's the biggest thing: 43 points per game is that stat line. I thought that Garrett Nussmeier has really shown that Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan have improved, and he has improved. He has gotten a lot better. I showed you the film today of the interception. Some of the things he's got that's got to get cleaned up because of him not telling the O-line and the receivers on the opposite side that what he was doing that is going to hurt you a lot of times. Jaden Daniels comes back from injury. Still had some moments in film study where he needs to let it rip, but he got a lot better from Georgia until now. I guess when we look at both of these quarterbacks, how did you assess how they played this Saturday or this Monday, yesterday?
Yeah, so I rewatched, the game, and I'm not going to do my film study until later this week. I want the focus to be on, the current, situation right now with LSU basketball, right? I know everybody's going to be watching the Kentucky game tonight, so I pushed, the film study back. But I did rewatch the game and made notes and all of that. And Man, Garrett Nussmeier threw a beautiful ball. And one thing I found very interesting was Orlovsky brought up in the game film is Nuts has such a very quick and compact release, and he has become a faster quarterback. He's playing quicker. Now, I watched as many snaps of Garrett Nussmeier's high school career, and some of his tendencies then bled over to where he is now as an LSU quarterback, where he was trying to do all these whirling Derbyshire throws, right? He was trying to be Johnny Manziel, and he was just doing too much. And once he simplified his game after the Southern disaster, he became a different quarterback. And the one thing that tells me, Blake, is it's actually two things. Number one, he's coachable. Number two, he is also willing to still take chances, but more so within the framework of the offense, right? The Malik Neighbors drop, that was an absolute dime when, he looked left and threw right and found the matchup that he wanted. The throw to Kyron Lacey when he wasn't out of his break was really, really, really good. So obviously Garrett Nussmeier was fantastic. Like you mentioned, the fade interception was horrible. So we were close. We were close to a non-turnover Garrett Nussmeier game.
On a play that was called a run that he checked out of.
Yes.
Right? Like it was a mistake that he made by himself.
Right. And that's obviously not good. And Garrett probably is beating himself up over it. And he should. I mean, he played, that would have been a step forward in the right direction. It's one thing if you have an interception every now and then, but, you would have liked to have seen it be a clean sheet. Obviously, Jaden was phenomenal. I mean, there's just no other way around it. He was really, really good. Ball placement still could be better, but still, the zone read decision was really, really good. Obviously, his overall throwing was better, and it helps that Malik was red hot and that Purdue a few times decided to not guard Malik and give him free releases, which is death. So I think Jaden was absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad that Brian Kelly said Jaden's our number one guy, but it's going to be a competition, and he feels all three of the quarterbacks that are returning, along with Ricky Collins coming in, will be ready to go for spring, and that excites me.
The quick slant from the inside slot is something that they've missed all season with Keyshawn Boutte being there. They hit on that a lot. They hit on it on fourth down. They hit it on it a couple of times. There's one play that Malik got 15 yards on the quick slant. There was nothing they can do in the zone coverage to stop it. Carter, there's something brewing with this offense, man. I think when you subtract, someone that led the country or led the SEC in drops, like, man, Malik went off. Now, I don't know. So we've had this debate, and I know that me and you have talked about this, and a lot of people have argued me during the season about this, and I know that me and you kind of somewhat agreed. Malik Neighbors is number 2 in the SEC in receiving yards, number 1 in the SEC in receptions.
Right. Yeah, here's what I'll say, Blake. I thought he was very good. I did not think he was special. I didn't.
Carter, even with the stat line that he just put up, even with leading the conference in catches.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like he's hit another.
Let me ask you. Let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Did it look like he did what he did?
Not really. It looked like just a very workmanlike effort. And
it looked like he maybe had 750 receiving yards and 50 catches. Did it not?
Yeah, I mean, let me see. I got one of these right here. Yeah, I'm loading up, baby. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
I knew you were going to do it.
I have one out. It's an addiction. I highly recommend. I give a ton out on my channel, whatever. But
I only got one. And then you send. By the way, did you see Fletcher Cox had a sack against the Saints last week?
Fletcher's a monster.
Yeah, and you're going to send me a Fletcher Cox card.
Look. Well, I sent you. Who was the legend I sent you? Number 21. Come on. Not Taylor. Jerry Stovall. Yeah, my Jerry. Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, you did send me Stovall.
Yeah, my very Jerry.
You also sent me Booger and Brandon Taylor. I like my Brandon Taylor card.
Yeah, Brandon BT, man. I saw him kill a deer. I saw him holding
I might have said, we got to talk about it, me and his conversation off the air.
But yes, so I love me some Malik Neighbors. And like I said, going into this year, I thought he was going to be a very good number 2. I did not think year 2 alpha Malik in a disjointed passing offense would be as great as he was. It was truly a phenomenal season for this young man.
Let me interrupt you. Let me ask you this: with what you see Malik did, is it disjointed? Look,
No.
because Carter, they've had 407 passing yards combined between the two guys the last 2 games. Am I going crazy in saying that this passing offense might be as more deadly than maybe some anticipate it being?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's like where they were for the Auburn game and the Arkansas game to where they are now is really, 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 really good. D Payne, shoot me an Instagram message. We'll get that. We'll get you taken care of. But look, the truth here is he was way better than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was very good. I really, really did. I thought he was going to be top 3 on the team in receiving and all that stuff. I just did not think he would be the alpha that he is. And, it's crazy, right? You start the season with about as disastrous of a start you can imagine, where there's it was, the only game was Florida State LSU, the Sunday night game, and got LeBron tweeting you, hey, keep your head up and all this stuff.
So wild. Wild.
And it was crazy, and then this offseason he meets Odell and he's hanging out with Jalen Ramsey and the Rams and all of that. And he just put it all together to have just an amazing season. And it really was great. There were a few rough games mixed in there. Obviously, everybody has rough games in the year or 2 of their career. But this guy, the Alabama catch, is a legendary catch. It reminded me a lot of Odell's big catch versus Alabama in 2012, but we couldn't close the deal. It truly was an elite season. And hopefully we see it, continue going into next year.
Last one, I'll get you out of here because we got the LSU basketball game in 7.
Let's go.
Biggest concern on the team next year as of right now, go.
There's a lot, right?
Biggest. What's your biggest?
On the offensive line, trying to figure out if you think, well, it's not offensive line, but I do think, this Lance Hurd thing is very interesting.
They're not moving Will Campbell.
I don't think so either, but what I would be interested in Zalance at right tackle and Emory Jones playing one of the guard spots. I would be interested.
I put Emory and Will at the same spot. They love each other.
Right.
But it'd be like Mighty Ducks 2, the Bash Brothers.
The Bash Brothers, put them on the same side.
And then you can put small Charles Taylor as the guy that comes in and it's a small Bash Brother.
I will. No.
That's funny. It's funny.
I don't get it. I'm still that's part of it.
Because he's a small offensive lineman. He's 280 pounds.
Okay. I get it now. You said Charles Taylor. I was like, wait.
Charles Turner. I was so excited for the joke. I probably didn't misspeak his name.
Believe it or not, I started a Charles Turner collection. I don't know why I'm addicted.
You have an addiction.
I love
Charles Turner. So offensive line.
But yeah, I think Brian Kelly, if Zalance Hurd is Brian Kelly, this, Blake. Brian Kelly doesn't say that Zalance quote if he doesn't think that guy really can be a superstar in year 1.
Well, he doesn't say that if he's not a starting right tackle either.
Right. So I think that's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be a philosophical decision that LSU is going to want to make. But obviously, the back 7 defensively is going to be, massive. They've already, killed it in the portal. I know someone asked about Anthony Lucas earlier. I'd be interested, but because Anthony Lucas had, an LSU lean before the A&M. Well, we know what happened there, but, before he went to A&M. And I feel better about the defensive line with the portal additions, but you got to have guys that can guard people on the back 7. That's all. That's the name of the game, right? Football, when you play against the elite quarterbacks, it's almost 7-on-7 now. You saw how emotional Brian Kelly got with Converse, right? And how much he liked him. It's rare to get.
I interviewed Jared Bernard Converse twice. I think once on this show, and me and Matt Trent did it. There's not a better young man. I literally looked at Jared Bernard Converse when we met in person for the first time during the interview. I said, if you say yes, sir, one more time, I swear to God, I'm calling Robert Steeples right now. Don't call me sir. Dude was buttoned up, Listen, I let's just say I told him to be there at 7:00. He was there at 6:59. Like, dude's just buttoned up, dude. He's that same GM I was talking about earlier. He asked me about Jared Bernard Converse this morning. I said, let me tell you something. And I told you this off the air. I'll say it on there. I think Jared is a guy that I would draft in the 6th round. There might be 1,000 corners better than him. I'm drafting him no matter what.
Right. Character.
Just have him on my team.
It matters. Well, we had a mutual friend that played at Oklahoma State. That was his teammate. And I've never talked to Jarek. I'd love to talk to him about, our friend, whatever. But that guy just impressed me. And you lose him. He won us the Alabama game because he played out of his mind. And, you lose him. You lose Gardner. Joe Fouché, when he played, was a really good football player for us. And all those guys are gone. And I just don't know if every year, and Brian Kelly said this a gazillion times, you can go to the portal and get, all these amazing DBs year after year after year. It's going to be really hard. And the fact that all of those transfer portal DBs hit and some of them exceeded expectations, like Converse, he became a real stud. And he was all Big 12, but to do it at the SEC level and play your best game versus Alabama, versus Bryce Young, it's going to be hard, Blake. It's going to be hard to replace it. But, I trust Steeples and Sherman Wilson and those guys to find, guys like Denver Harris or maybe a few others. And your guy, Zy Alexander. Let's go, Zy.
He's coming to line up. All right. We'll see you next Monday, buddy. Thank you so much.
Let's beat the Wildcats. Let's go.
All right. That's Carter the Power Bryant. Look, we'll end the show with this. We have a minute. LSU historically does have some good success here recently with the Cats, against the Cats. Give me the give me the Cat, or give me LSU plus 10.5 here tonight. Give me LSU plus 10.5. I also did put a money line in. My money line pick tonight was Alabama. I'm not touching that Mississippi State game. People keep trying to convince me Mississippi State's good. I never thought they were good. I don't know what that game's doing right now, but I don't trust the Mississippi State. They're getting smoked right now. That doesn't surprise me. I'm glad I didn't put them in my money line. I'm so glad I didn't. They're down 22.5. Bets them right. All right, I want to talk a lot more about LSU baseball. Let's kick that out to tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. Till then, knuckleheads, we'll see y'all soon. Peace out, Girl Scouts.